Welcome to the first episode of how to use Dear Diary and what it's all about. So this is the new revamped Dear Diary that you're looking at presently. Obviously things may change in the future, but the general gist of it is likely to stay the same. So if anyone was here in 1999, you'll potentially remember the way that Dear Diary looked. Or not, but anyway, this is kind of based on how it looked back then. Although the technology is much improved compared to what it was back then. Matt and I really had to work hard to get things like drop shadows on the bottom here, which today just basically come as free with the technology. But anyway, so as you can see, 25th birthday, September 1999 was when DearDiary.net first launched. And some of you watching this video will have been with us since around that sort of time. So this is the new Dear Diary, and well, how do we use it? Well, bearing in mind first of all that this is the first iteration of Dear Diary. This is running on a local machine. It's not yet available, but it will be by the time you watch this, I suspect. More features will be added, and I'm going to be guided heavily by what you guys want, and not necessarily what I want to code, but what you guys want to see. So I will be setting up a way for you to give me feedback. At the moment, if you want to give me feedback, then the best way to do it is through this contact form up here, and that will then drop me an email, and you and I can have a conversation about how you think the feature that you want should be implemented. Nice and easy for this one. Obviously, fill in your email address. Got to be valid, of course. I can't reply to you if it's not. And how can I help you? And give me some ideas on what you want to achieve. So, back to the home page. First of all, before we join Dear Diary, I'll take you quickly to what it looks like. So, this is the DearDiary.net administration diary. Now again, some of these layouts may change slightly, different things may happen, but this is roughly what it's going to be. As you can see, it's a full screen. I'm showing you on the computer desktop rather than on a mobile phone. It does work on the mobile phone. I have set it up so that it'll work for reading nicely on mobile phone, but it's not going to be that great for typing an entry out, and that's just because mobile phones are not that great for typing entries. We're not into the 140 characters here, such as Twitter. We're not into 160, which is your SMS messages and things like that. That's a whole different ball game as far as I'm concerned. We're here to chronicle our memories and to make sure we can look back on them in another 25 years. So moving on, what have we got? Well, we've got a calendar on the side here. The orange blocks obviously indicate where there's an entry. When you hover over a date, at the moment it goes white on any date, but if you click on a date that hasn't got anything in it, it will do nothing for you. I do plan potentially to make it so that you can just click on that date, that blank date, and that will add an entry for you. That may happen if there's enough demand. But the orange blocks are ones where there is one or more entries, so multiple entries per day is already supported. If we hover over the date, we get an idea of what that entry is about. So there we go. Obviously, this one here, the 20th of June, is the one we're actually reading. That's not highlighted, but maybe it could be. And then we can see that this entry actually scrolls off down the bottom. So when we scroll up, just the entry itself moves, everything else stays where it needs to be, so we can still see things. Obviously, if we click on another entry, then it takes us to that entry. This one isn't full page because the entry is not that long in the first place, but you'll be able to see that we can change fonts. Presently, there's only 4 or 5 fonts installed on the system. There will be more, and Plus users, which we'll talk about in a little while, will have obviously considerably more than free users. With that in mind, the idea behind Dear Diary, the new Dear Diary that's coming out, is that private diaries will be free. If you wish to have a public diary, then you will need to be a Plus member, and you can obviously then have a public diary. I know this turns things on its head a little bit for Dear Diary, because previously diaries were public unless you wanted them private. I've turned it on its head because one of the big dramas we've had historically with public diaries, as you probably remember, especially if you've been around for a little while, is all the spam diaries that were generated, whereby bots would sign up, create a load of random entries just with the idea of getting backlinks to their own website selling, I don't know, handbags and shoes and things, and basically just drowned the rest of us out with that nonsense. And it was an absolute nightmare trying to keep on top of it. So the idea is, obviously, private diaries, well, there's no benefit for anyone to do that, and the spammers are highly unlikely to pay a monthly fee to keep their diary in public. Whereas hopefully we're providing a good enough service for you guys that you don't mind paying us a monthly fee or potentially an annual fee with a fairly significant discount. We'll get into that a bit more in a bit. But so private diaries are the default and they are free. Private users will be able, they can't at the moment on this version, but they will be able to share up to 5 entries per month with their friends by creating a shareable link. So if you've got a particular entry that you do want to share with other people, even though you're a free user, you'll be able to create a shareable link to do that. May have to see how that goes. That will be fairly manual, so I'm hoping that won't attract the spammers. Obviously, the Go Plus users have no limits and will get first access to all new features. Now, one of the nice things about this new version is, compared to the old version of DearDiary.net, is that Plus users can have multiple diaries within the same login, and I'll show you that in just a moment. So, how do you join us? Well, you can click on the Join Us from the front page here, or you can click on Register in the top right hand corner, and those of you with long memories will remember the pencil that we had on the original Dear Diary, and that's inspired this pencil here as well. So we'll click on Register. That takes us to a screen, surprisingly, whereby you can enter your email address. Now, again, those that have been around for a little while will remember that DearDiary.net used to use usernames. I've actually switched it so that it uses email addresses. And the reason for that is because I'm going to open it up to being able to register your account using multiple different providers, such as GitHub. Google is not working at the moment, but the code is all there. I just need to switch it on, and then I will be somewhat guided by you guys, but you will be able to potentially log in with your Pinterest account or your Facebook account, possibly your Apple account. It depends on the demand for that, and various others are available, but I haven't put the back end in for them yet. So I'm going to be guided by you guys what you want to see there. Or, of course, if you don't have an account already, and most of you watching this probably will, then you just give your email address, click register, and you will be signed up. It will email you a randomly generated password once you've clicked that register button, and it will then have a link in there to come and authenticate your account and sign in. It's as simple as that. Nice and easy. If you're already registered and you click that by mistake, well, just click already registered, log in, or click the login button up here. Now you'll see same deal here. You can log in with GitHub, log in with Google, or you could use your email address and your password. Now, the feature about this that's really quite exciting is this is using the very original Dear Diary database. So all the shenanigans that have gone on in the last maybe 5 years or so, I will need to set up a way of backporting into your diary those people that migrated from the old system to the new system. I will need to backport any entries you've made in that intervening time into this, because this is using the very original Dear Diary. So that means if you've been away for 15 years or so, then your email address and password, should you be able to remember it, will still function. If you can't remember your password, then we do have the ability to request a new password. It does require you to know what email address you registered with. So if you do know what your email address is that you registered originally with, pop it in there, click reset password, you'll be sent a new password. However, and I've spotted an error on there, but anyway, drop me a comment if you spot it too. If your account doesn't exist because you've given us the wrong email address, you will not get any feedback, and this is to stop people from being able to see who's on the system, and just trying to brute force people. It just makes it pointless for them. If you don't know who's on here, bad luck, I'm not going to tell you. However, from genuine users' point of view, if you can't remember, please do use that contact form in the top. Put in your current email address so that I can reply to you. Let me know that you can't remember which email address you registered with, and we'll work out how we can authenticate you to make sure that you're really the owner of that diary, and we'll get you back into it. So, well, I can get into mine, so let's do that. And this is what you see when you first log into your diary. So your diaries, well, there's a new feature. You can have more than one. And if you want to create a new one, you just click on the plus and put in the diary title. I am a plus user, so I can have a public diary. If I wasn't, you won't be able to tick that box, and you can only have the one diary. I'm not going to add a new diary here because I don't need to. It's not going to do anything except add another line up here. So to view our diary, we click on that, and those of you that remember the original system will remember that we had two different screens. We won't be having two different screens here. It'll be this one, and you will be able to edit this screen where it says that here will be some blurb. So that will be for you to write down what you want to tell yourself about your diary, or to tell others if you're going for a public diary. So with that in mind, we can create a new entry, and as you can see, we get a fairly nice looking screen, I think, but do tell me if you don't think, whereby we can edit or create a new entry. So we need to give it a title. If you don't, it'll just have a default title. It can't be saved without a title, so the system will just generate, I think it probably says exactly that, default entry title or something. So hello YouTube fans, there we go. Oh, YouTube fans. And then we just start typing. This entry is dedicated to all those who watched this on YouTube. Woohoo, there you go, look at that, isn't that great? Whoops. Not the greatest typer today, am I? Oi, isn't it great? So what can we do with that? We can also add headers and things such as that. So and that will show up as a header. We can change the font as I showed you in the earlier one. So select what we want, change the font, and there you go, that word has changed. So it's a fairly standard editor. Most of it is working. There may be some bugs in it. If you find them, please let me know. Your usage of it may be slightly different to mine. Obviously you can bold and italic things as well, and that's great, but you may be wondering, well, that's wonderful, that is just fabulous, I don't want it on that date. Well, we can change the date that we're going to put it on. It can be any time, whenever you want. We'll put this on let's put it on the 4th of June. There we go. You'll see that's changed up there. You'll notice a public button. Everybody will get the option to put the public entry. However, if you're not a pro user, this setting, even though you set it, won't actually do anything until you decide you want to go to be a plus user. And that's the reason I've left that option there, is that you may be thinking, well, I'm going to give it a try, and if it works well and I like it, then I probably do want to be public. Well, then you don't want to have to go through and change all of your entries to be public. So I've allowed that to be there, but the setting on your user account will override it. I hope that makes sense, but do drop me a line if not. Now then, has anyone spotted how we save the entry? And this might be the piece that I have to change. I think once you get used to it, it'll be fine, but I want this system to be as user-friendly right from the beginning. And so I may have to adjust that and maybe make it more prominent, or maybe make it more prominent for the first few times you've used the entry. Anyway, the eagle-eyed amongst you will have probably spotted a little cloud with an arrow facing upwards. This one here. On the new system, that save entry pop-up is much bigger and more obvious, but that's how we save. We click the button, it tells us our entry is saved, and we click OK. Now at the moment it doesn't show the entry in the calendar. I'm working on that, but if you refresh you'll see it's there. We click on the entry and there's your entry. All makes sense? Great stuff. How do we edit that entry? Well, we click on edit entry. If we don't want to make any changes, I clicked in here by mistake, well, just cancel. And we've got a button where, oh, this is rubbish, I can delete it. You'll notice on here, as I say, I've got a version on my computer that makes this a bit more obvious, but if you now click away from this, that entry is gone, and this one has updated the calendar. But if you click on delete entry by mistake and you go, oh my god, no, I didn't mean to delete that, well, then we click on undo delete and it's back over here and it's back in here. And there's a bug. It says create new entry there, but in fact, no, that's correct. Sorry, no, it's me thinking too far ahead. So there you go. In the version on my computer, you'll be able to click on the top here to get back to your actual diary. For now, I will just go back to diaries and back here, and we can see all the entries. Obviously, scrolling through, we can use the calendar. Now, because Dear Diary has had so little work done on it for the last however long, as you can probably hear in the background, my mouse is going to get worn out with all the clicks. I do intend to put a year drop down on the top of this calendar so that you can navigate much quicker. What's that one? Oh, that's a test entry, but there you go. So I won't dwell on that too much. You do have a user profile, and I'll blank out some of this in the editing. You cannot change your password at the moment, even though that is in there. That looks like it will work. It doesn't. But you can choose whether you want us to be able to send you emails. So this might be reminders, it might be new features. Obviously, I'd really like it if you did say yes. I'm not going to spam you relentlessly, but if there's new things that come out, then if you want to hear about them, tick the box to say you're on the mailing list. Now, you'll see here, I do still have username in the database. At the moment, we're not making much use of it, but if people do want to show their username still, and I suspect many of you will, because quite a lot of you do take some quite pride in your usernames, so that will be there. It will be making a more prominent entrance, as it were, into your diary display in the future. You can see it up there, but only you'll see that, of course. Here we go. You can see when this account was first created, and it was in fact Monday, September the 13th, 1999. So it's very close to 25 years old, this diary, and this would have been one of the first that was created, although bizarrely not the first. But anyway, that's another story. Here you can see that I'm a pro user, and also you can see, well, I'll blank them out. You can see some questions and security questions and security answers. Now, the reason for this, it seems perhaps a little intrusive, but the amount of hassle I get from people that can't remember their password or their registered email address and have no way of realistically being able to verify who they are so that I can actually open up their account to them again, I decided we needed a system, and this tends to be the sort of system of last resort, as it were. So when you're filling these in, choose questions that you know and nobody else does, or very few other people do. As you can see, you've got a few to choose from there. Put in answers that you'll know, they're obvious to you, but they're not obvious to anybody else. Don't make them up, because if you make them up and then you get stuck, I'm not going to be able to help you, because you won't remember what you made up, but you will remember what the truth is. This is going to be no use to anybody else except you, because only you'll know the answers. I hope that makes sense. When you first log in, if you haven't got these set, and nobody will have yet, it will not let you out of this screen. So you might get a little bit frustrated. For that, I apologise. But please do fill them in, and make sure that there's something that are obvious to you but not obvious to anybody else. I hope that makes sense. You can change your real name here, and you can change your username. If it's not unique within the system, then it will reject it, or at least it should. No, it will. The database won't allow it. Incidentally, if you come in through GitHub or Google or any of those on that left hand side of that login screen, we do not store a password for you at all. It will be up to GitHub or Facebook or whoever. You'd have to change your password there, not with us. That's kind of a good security feature though. It means that if anything ever happens to us, such as a data breach, not that I'm hoping it will, and I'm doing everything I can to make sure it in fact doesn't, but if it does, if you haven't got a password stored, it won't be breached because it will be on GitHub or Facebook or wherever. Hope that makes sense too. Finally, you'll be pleased to know we have the Go Plus membership scheme, and this is all in and running. So if you decide that you do not want a private diary, or you do want a private diary but you also want a public one, for example, or you want multiple diaries, etc., all those different things, then you can become a Plus member. And if you are a Plus member, you will be supporting the site as an early adopter, and I will love you forever. So how do we do that? Well, you can decide whether it's... I've just realised there's no pricing on these buttons. There probably should be. So Go Plus monthly, we've decided, is going to be $3.99 a month. Now, that's just... if you cast your mind back to those that were premium members, I think we called them, when you had a little smiley face beside your name on the front screen, it was $3 a month back in 2000 and maybe one. So in over 20 years, it's gone up by 99 cents, or roughly 30%. Is that right? Something like that. Anyway, you can pay by credit card, you can pay by PayPal, and we do not see your card details. Billing is all handled by a company called Stripe. They're massive. They deal with billing for multiple $1-million companies, and they know what they're doing. So they take care of all that, and we don't have to. Whoops. However, now this is a test card. It's not a real card. No money will be changing hands here, but we click on subscribe and it will then tell us whether it all went well, and it did. And you can see it then goes back to this screen. Thank you very much, you're done. And for some reason that has not updated. No, that's okay. I know why, and that's because there isn't any back end set up for this particular machine. Nevertheless, it will come up and say in your history here. What do you want to do? What do you do if you want to cancel? Well, we click manage your subscription. It will then take you to this account management system by Stripe, where you will need to put in the same email address as your DearDiary.net account, because that's the piece of information that ties the two systems together for us. And you will then be sent an email with a link to click on to get into your payment portal, your subscription portal, if you like. And that will then let you change from monthly to annually and get a discount, or from annually to monthly, or to cancel your subscription entirely. Now, the way that works is if you go from monthly to annually, it will be prorated. So if you decide you wanted to do it and you still had 25 days left on your monthly subscription, well, those 25 days will be added on. So your annual subscription will start after 25 days. So you don't lose anything by upgrading in the mid-cycle. And similarly, if you cancel, it will see you out to the end of what you've paid for. If you desperately need a refund instead of waiting for your subscription, then please do drop me a line. Don't go to your bank. I will refund you if you want it to cancel there and then. But you do need to contact me for that. Hope that makes sense. And obviously, if we go yearly, you can see that for yearly, it's $35.99, which works out at you paying for 9 months and getting 12. So that's a pretty decent discount for going yearly and for showing your trust in us. And for that, we thank you. The little bit of small print is really just going over that same information that I've just given you. But do feel free to read it. Should you require a receipt, that is possible as well. Click on the download button and it shows you that you can download the invoice and you can download the receipt. So that is a quick, not necessarily that quick, but whistle-stop tour of the new DearDiary.net, where you can create entries, you can update, edit and delete them. You can't yet share them. So this is going to be obviously more of interest for the beta testers at the moment, this particular video at least, but you will be able to share them soon. You will be able to have public diaries and so on. You'll notice there's no comments, there's no friend system. This is a really early version at the moment, but I'm putting it out there because let's get you guys on it. Let's get you guys using it and telling me what you want, and that way we can build it together and there won't be any dramas. Well, let's hope. I'm sure there will be. One last thing, you can see latest public diary updates there. The previous incarnation of Dear Diary did show the latest public diary updates, and it's a feature that for those that I've spoken to already have requested that it is there because it helps build the community and people do like to interact with each other. So next thing to be working on, I will be working on comment system notification, so that obviously you get an email when somebody posts an update. When somebody posts a comment to your diary. After that, I will be obviously creating it won't be the friend system in the way the previous one was, but it will be the ability to subscribe to diaries. So if your friend is on here and posting and you want to receive updates, you'll be getting them in email as previously. Any comments, any suggestions, please, either if the site is live and you're on it by the time you're watching this, then do use the contact form or leave me a comment on this video. Thanks for watching. I'll put more out as we get more news. Thanks everyone. Have a great day. Bye for now.